Yog wrote it to be a Christmas number one. We'd had a phenomenally successful year in 1984, and it was planned as the icing on the cake, a Christmas number one to cap an incredibly successful year for us. That didn't happen because Band-Aid, Bob's wonderful initiative to alleviate the suffering in the Horn of Africa, was rightly took people's attention.
Virgin Radio.
It just occurred to me playing that song as Noah Khan, Stick Season on Virgin Radio, that was the song that knocked Last Christmas off number one at the beginning of the year. And we have, in the building, we have Andrew Ridgeley. Hello, sir.
Good morning.
Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
How does it feel to be number one again? Like, this is, what, third time now? Second, third time? Third time.
Yeah, maybe the third year. It was... the first year, I think it was number one over several weeks, but in between it was it took back seat, so I think it went 1, 2. Okay, right. So,
but last year was the first year it was Christmas number one.
Yeah, the Christmas number one was last year. Yeah, so we're obviously hoping that it will be so this year as well.
So I have a theory that that for years it was always X Factor that were Christmas number one. And then for about 6 or 7 years, it was Lad Baby that was Christmas number one. I have a theory we're now going...
You are talking to the wrong person about that sort of thing.
You don't follow the charts. No,
I've absolutely no idea whatsoever.
Well, that's how it was for a few years. And I have a theory that we're now going into a period where Wham's Last Christmas could well be Christmas number one every year.
Well, I'm not quite sure what's happened over the last few years, but the competition between Mariah's track and ours has seemed to become a feature of the discourse at Christmas, and certainly I think Last Christmas has really, I've said it before, woven itself into the very fabric of Christmas. I think for a lot of people, it represents the festive season. It signifies the commencement of festivities. It somehow become as much a part of Christmas as Christmas puddings or mince pies. So don't ask me why, but it's a good thing.
What's your thoughts on Whamageddon?
I'm agnostic. If that's your cup of tea, fill your boots.
Yeah. When it comes on, how do you feel about it now when it comes on the radio?
I've heard it quite a lot over the course of the year.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, line from the song like that. You got.
Oh yeah.
It's a great song. It's a really good record. Mm-hmm. It's the definitive record of the song. I mean, Yog knew how to produce records, George, and I don't know that there's been a better record of that song. There's been hundreds, I believe, of cover versions. Someone told me the other day it was over 400.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, I enjoy it. I don't listen to it start to finish, day in, day out, but I hear it an awful lot, bits of it. Yeah. And it's a really beautiful melody. It's very pretty, and it's obviously set against the lament of betrayed love. It's very clever as well, and I think it's got a sentiment that a lot of people recognise, a lot of people can relate to, because lots of us will have had Christmas romances.
Okay. And you really would have liked it to have been Christmas number one back 40 years ago when it was actually released the first time round. Can you give us a little story about what happened there?
Yeah, Yog wrote it to be a Christmas number one. We'd had a phenomenally successful year in 1984, and it was planned as the icing on the cake, a Christmas number one to cap an incredibly successful year for us. That didn't happen because Band-Aid, Bob's wonderful initiative to alleviate the suffering in the Horn of Africa, was rightly took people's attention and their focus, and so Wham was number two that year.
Number two, but I heard that you gave all the royalties. Wasn't that right? The royalties all went to that charity as well.
Yeah, we donated our royalties from the global proceeds of Last Christmas that year to to the Band Aid initiative. Yeah,
that's amazing. Right, let's play the song now, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about the video and the documentary that was on BBC Two last night. Here it is, Wham's Last Christmas. Number one again. Will it be number one next week? I'm thinking probably it'll be that. Or that or Mariah. So the battle continues. Let's talk about the video. So in the documentary last night, you were seen going back to Switzerland where you filmed it and just meeting up with all these people again that were in that initial video. What was that like for you?
It was a wonderful experience, and I see many of that group of friends on a regular basis. But to be back in Saas-Fee, reliving in a sense the making of the video and treading in the footsteps, our footsteps of 40 years prior, was a really charming thing to be able to do. It was a privilege to be able to give tribute to the song and and George in that way. And I think Last Christmas Unwrapped is really a love letter to the song, to George, very accurately described as such by Laura Jones of Blink, who made the film. And I think she got it absolutely right. It very much is that, and I think it's an affectionate and warm look at everything that composes Last Christmas. Its composition itself, the making of it, the video. So yeah, a privilege to go back there. Great fun then, or rather now as then. Nothing else alike. And
it said on the video, like, yesterday when we were watching this documentary, it was talking about how you were given real booze or something when they were filming the video for Last Christmas.
Yes.
That seems dangerous.
Yeah, it was unwise to say the least in hindsight.
Right.
Don't know whose idea that was, but yes, it spiralled, that's for sure.
Okay. What's Christmas for you? What will you be doing this year for Christmas?
I shall be spending it with friends, and I shall see my stepson, and having a jolly nice time.
Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Not at all.
And if people want to catch up, there was last night. It was on BBC Two. The story of Last Christmas Unwrapped, and there was loads on George Michael as well, wasn't there? Who was at the BBC, Live at the BBC, and there was a bunch of programmes.
Yeah, the BBC ran a Wham at the BBC, GM at the BBC, in addition to the Last Christmas Unwrapped. I think you can see it all on iPlayer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Lovely. So, Andrew Ridgeley, thank you very much for coming in.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Virgin Radio.